In a couple days' time, on Dabustan. Dabustan is the Dabus Day of Rest in Sigil, the one day out of the Sigillian year that the Dabus do no work in town. The Dabus, for those who don't know, are these floating, silent, essentially the Lady of Pain's like slave workforce. Their job is to repair buildings and build new ones in Sigil, clear debris, kill Razorvine, that kind of thing. They're pretty much always in the background. They're the kind of... most Sigillians just ignore them most of the time. They're not extremely pervasive throughout the city, but pretty much, if you want to find one, you can pretty much always find one in the background, doing some kind of work. But one day out of the year, all of the Dabus disappear from the city streets and do no work. And on that day this year, the Harmonium is planning to do a raid of the Great Bazaar to try to break up this in-depth coalition that's been in hold there all year. Nodal, you were saying something?
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Okay.
Which is that, like, the Dabus aren't, like, something you would hide a crime from, right?
What do you mean?
Like, they wouldn't care.
It depends on what the crime is. It depends on whether or not the crime... Like, for example, if they witness a murder in an alley, and it's just, like, some inconsequential bubber getting murdered, like, nobody cares, probably nothing bad would happen. As long as, Hardhead didn't also see you. If your crime is arson, and you're physically damaging the city or one of the portals, and the Dabus see you do that, that could end very badly for you very quickly.
Also, Dabus speak in rebuses. They actually really communicate in rebuses. They don't actually speak. They have little pictures over their heads that communicate.
Right.
That's my favorite thing about them.
Yeah, the Dabus invented emojis.
They did.
So here are you guys getting advanced warning about this Hardhead raid in the Bazaar, which it was also determined this was going to be partially a cover so they could also raid Hollis Dwath's headquarters. But Nath got Dwath and his people to change their position, so they're probably safe. Outside of that, here are the various outcomes that people said they wanted to happen from this Great Bazaar raid. Riot wants to humiliate the Hardheads while mitigating the loss of life. Liberation wants to minimize innocent casualties, and he defines innocent as unwilling participants. Nath wants to minimize harm and property damage. Mahogany wants to create the impression that the Hardheads are causing the chaos and that Dwath's people are the ones to restore order. And you guys have about 3 days before Dabustan, the final day of the year, in order to plan to make these outcomes happen. So let's start with Riot. What kind of planning and preparation do you do in this time?
One of those 3 days, Riot is going to take her cell out to the Bazaar and spend the day figuring out lines of approach and lines of sight.
And you want to do this for the entire Bazaar?
Well,
because that would take more than 1 day, probably.
Oh yeah. No, but where'd the Hardheads come from? The barracks, right? Where's the barracks? This is the prison. Are these the barracks?
Yes.
Okay. So not the entire Bazaar, but like this area of it, the western side, where the Hardheads are likely to come from headquarters from.
Okay. And to what end? What's the goal here?
The goal here is to anticipate their marching routes and figure out the best places to be to get a vantage point on all of that happening.
Okay. Pretty much everywhere. The Bazaar itself is a mixture of buildings and then just temporary stalls, tents, carts, and things like that. And it's always changing. People will roll in carts on one day that aren't there the next day. People in the Bazaar, merchants in the Bazaar specifically have, especially, they have special rights that they can set up a temporary cart and do commerce without any sort of license or official paperwork being filed, which is not possible elsewhere in the city. You've got to be on file with clerks at the courts and at the Hall of Records and etc. Pretty much anybody can set up shop in the Bazaar at any time. On any of the permanent structures, most of them can be easily climbed, and Sigillian architecture being what it is, most of them have vantage points that are really good for snipers or scouts or whatnot. The difficulty is going to be, when it comes to possible approaches, is there's lots and lots of ways into the Bazaar. If they march with enough force, covering one or two streets isn't going to be enough.
Yeah.
Sight lines within the Bazaar are subject to change on a daily or even hourly basis as merchants set up or tear down, etc.
Okay.
Kelian is not here this week, so I'm just going to delete him. Liberation. You want to minimize innocent casualties. What kind of preparatory work are you doing?
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with Father Mondo to start with. I've got one other thing that I want to do as well, but first off is Father Mondo. I'm going to give him 100 platinum pieces.
Okay.
And what this is going to entail is this is going to be him to try and organize some celebration of Amaterasu, some kind of religious celebration, and then try to advertise and pimp that as much as I possibly can in the market ward. Try and get as many people out of the way as possible.
To what's your explanation to him for why you want to do this?
Oh, I'll be upfront that the hardheads are getting ready to roll the market ward.
And when you explain that that's the case, he politely but firmly explains that he would much prefer to stay out of it. That he can't serve he can't serve the poor and helpless in this area of Sigil if he's on the Harmonium's radar as essentially a rabble-rouser. He also would caution against using Amaterasu's name for such deception. He reminds you that she is a goddess of light, that shines light on shadows and shows what is real and what is not.
Okay.
So to that end, he does not accept 100 platinum. He doesn't want to be a part of that particular ruse.
Okay.
Welcome to clerics.
Liberation is to be forgiven because the only cleric he knows is absolutely down with all of that.
So Nath is going to minimize harm and property damage. What's his initial preparatory work?
Scout out the Bazaar since he's never been there before.
Okay.
Would be the first thing you'd have to do. He will probably spend a bit of time actually finding out how magic works in the Sigil, since he doesn't know any of these things yet.
Okay.
Like, he's probably going to spend a day both scribing that specific version of banishment and also figuring out which of his spells do and do not work.
Okay. And that's information
That
is
should be fairly-
very easy to come by.
That's
in
pretty
the
common knowledge. Can I ask as the player, because there's a few I'm not sure about, rope trick, extra dimensional space?
It's been a minute since I've actually read Rope Trick.
You put up a tricky rope.
Okay, so anything that just specifies an extra dimensional space but doesn't literally say that it reaches into the ethereal or astral should work fine. Rope Trick should work fine. Something
And
like
Mordecai's Magnificent Mansion, also extra dimensional.
I'm pretty sure it should work because Riot was using her tiny hut for a while. Oh no, that was not extra dimensional though.
Yeah,
Tiny
Tiny
Hut's
Hut just
a
puts up a
shelter.
hat.
it's a bubble
Yeah.
force.
Yeah, again, this spell just says an extra dimensional dwelling, but it doesn't say it opens up into the ethereal or astral.
Okay.
So you should be fine.
What spell is that?
Mordecai's Magnificent Mansion.
Oh, you have that already?
Yep.
Dang, I was going to take it, but now I guess I don't need to.
There are some spells that have effects that say they reach into the ethereal astral. I think like Force Cage does. There's a couple
Well,
others.
Force Cage extends to the astral.
Right. So that spell would function in Sigil, but you just
Or
wouldn't get the
into
astral
ethereal.
or ethereal benefit of it.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't matter because there'd be nothing trying to scoot into the astral.
Yeah.
As far as scouting the Bazaar, it is basically Nath's nightmare. I mean, there's 10 million places to hide. There's a million ways in. Roads come in and out everywhere. There's no permanent roads inside the Bazaar to speak of. There's not even much organization as far as what shops are opened where. With enough force, a large enough army could basically just bowl through here. Just stomp everything down. And I mean, just being in the Bazaar for a few hours during prime market times, you definitely get the sense of the people who live and operate here all day. People who are kind of paradoxically wearing in-depth colors very proudly. Like, this is their home, and they will fight fiercely to protect it.
I'll probably cast a bunch of alarm spells the day of that I'm expecting this to be.
Okay.
The other bit of preparation, I'm going to go see Riot.
Which is good enough because Riot's been hoping to talk to you.
Okay. Do you designate anybody who won't trip these alarms?
I was going to put them in alleys that are rarely used.
Okay.
And cast as a ritual, obviously. Let me see how this works exactly.
10 minutes.
Yeah, it
10 minutes.
takes 10
You either
minutes
hear
to
a ringing
cast.
of a bell or you hear it wakes you up. Either way.
Right. They'll all be mental alarms.
Okay.
Creatures. I mean, obviously, I'll make them so that the people that I'm working with won't trigger them. And again, I'm going to put them in like alleys and whatnot.
Okay.
I assume they'll be going off like crazy, but
So next session, Nath will just be in the madhouse, having been driven absolutely insane. Mahogany, you want to create the impression that it's the Harmonium causing chaos, and that Dwath's people have restored order.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to attempt to do this?
I have no plans.
You have no plan.
It's pointless. It's
Good.
like trying to stop the blood boar. I could set up a bunch of plans today and the marketplace would be completely different tomorrow. Why bother?
Okay. Where is this meeting with Nath and Riot happening?
I was just going to go to the church.
Right, and what's the nature of this meeting? What needs to be discussed?
Yeah, you'd probably find her in the evening after she's been out on the streets all day with her cell.
So yeah, I'm obviously not very good at this yet. I was wondering if you had any contacts inside the Hardheads that would help me disguise myself better. You get some more information out of.
Well, I got you. And I don't know, usually when I need something in the Hardheads, I just go and do it myself. Put on a temp disguise, bluff my way in. It's easy as heck. But what are you looking for in specific?
Just more information about exactly when they're going to make this move. I was going to go and see if I could find something else out myself, but I was thinking if you knew someone I could talk to on the down low, that might make it a little easier. But if you just do that yourself, I guess I'll try myself a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, have they assigned you one of those things yet? Those man catchers?
No, I don't believe so.
When do you get one of those?
Do I know, Rick, when
those
they
are
get those?
Assigned to Harmonium that actually patrol Sigil. Unless you're a patrolman, you wouldn't be a candidate to receive one, and typically they only give one per patrol. So patrol of
and they
8
take it back
Hardheads.
when the patrol's done.
Right. So
yeah, those are basically faction equipment. They don't give them to an individual. You check yours out when you're going to go out and patrol, and then check it back in.
Damn.
Yeah.
I was hoping you and me could get in a little bit of practice. I could figure out with a little work how to defeat one.
Brick Road.
yes.
I have a thing that I'm going to do as well. I mean, once you've hit everybody up.
Okay.
I think you've already hit everybody.
What is your thing?
All right, so I have Secret Influence of 16.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to use that Secret Influence to get word to the Harmonium that their security's been breached, that their information that Hollistowath already knows about their operation, and that he's already skipped town. And that there's a group of adventurers that are intent on stopping them from rolling the Great Bazaar.
Okay. Go ahead and make that check.
Here we go. That is I'm actually should I not? That is a 15.
Okay.
I don't think anyone's ever used Secret Influence before, so this will be interesting.
No, this is the first.
Yeah.
So the nature of Secret Influence is you're not actively doing anything. You don't know it's secret. You don't know it exists or who has taken this interest in you. But by the nature of it, somebody will do it on your behalf, and then the secret will come into play at some point.
Okay.
That quiet voice is the sound of Brick Road writing.
So bear with me 1 second. I have to make some changes on my end here. So the intent here is to basically tip off the Harmonium that Dwath's group is already out of reach.
Yeah, they've already skipped town.
That they've skipped town. Because they haven't skipped town. They've relocated elsewhere in Sigil. But you want the Harmonium to believe that they've skipped town. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Riot. As far as Harmonium marching routes go, I mean, you pretty much called it correctly. They're almost certainly going to march from this particular direction. Because you can't march from these directions, and coming from this way means they'd have to go all the way through the hive, and probably some of their numbers would get sucked down in the ooze portals,
Right.
etc.
Well, they'd have to go through the lower ward, the hive, the clerk's ward, the guild hall. They'd have to take the nonsensical long way around.
Okay. You do notice as you're scouting out vantage points in these approaches that the in-depths, you see a lot more open swords being carried in that area of the bazaar. You notice a lot more peery eyes watching you move. In the days leading up to Dabustan, it looks like people are on higher alert here than usual. So what are you doing with these vantage points?
What I want is at some point during this this altercation to have a view of the humiliation of the hardheads that our group is going to cause, like a clear view of it for later recording into that sensory stone that I've got, the blank one.
Okay, so you're going to basically record the sensation of pulling one over on the hardheads?
Yeah.
Okay.
And one more
Pick
thing.
it up and like smug just washes over you.
Do you have an actual plan for how you're going to create this humiliation?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So Liberation, you had one more thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna basically be involved with the worst pillow talk in the world. I'm going to make my date with Haz, and we have a time. I'm not going to say whether it was good or bad. Well, I'll just say it was a time. And I'm going to let him know that there's some really bad thing going down on Dabustan, and anybody that you know, as well as yourself, would probably be best served skipping town.
And he says that everybody he knows will stand their ground and fight the Harmonium. It's a pitiful man indeed who abandons his home when they come to burn it.
Fair enough.
Satyr, you're lucky he's not sensate.
All right, so Nath, you have your spells scribed in.
Yeah, I have one more. I have to actually go through the app and add, but that's it.
Okay, and you set up a network of alarms in alleyways and such. And this is to try to ping you if Harmonium patrols are coming through off of the main thoroughfares into the bazaar?
Yep.
Okay. All right, is there any other preparatory work that we need to discuss beforehand?
I think I had one more thing. I'm trying to remember what it was. I was thinking of it like a second ago, but I tend to forget these things.
It happens. Anybody else?
I have a nice lunch at a bowl of Anaheim.
But you had to pay for it, so go ahead and delete a couple of pieces of gold off your character sheet.
Yeah, I'll do that. No, it was with Kelian. Didn't he tell you before he left?
No, he's not here this week.
It was something I wanted to ask Mahogany about. I know that much. Oh, right. Yeah, I wanted to talk to Mahogany.
Okay.
And, like, ask him, for your part in all this, can you, from time to time at my signal, enclose masses of hardheads in your walls?
Yeah, I'll put walls up when I feel like I need to.
Okay. That'll play really well, I think. I also want to, on the day of the of all this is happening, get everyone together in a Raries.
Yeah, and just for the record, Brickroad, because I know you're not constantly checking my spell sheet, but on day of, I'm preparing a couple different elemental types of walls.
Okay, like what?
Thorns, ice, no fire, because that seems like a real bad plan. And there's one more, I think. No, I think it was thorns and ice that I mostly wanted. Oh, right, earth.
Okay.
Are we actually are you gathering everyone together? Does that include Nath beforehand?
And stone.
It doesn't have to, because Riot doesn't think Nath is going to contribute a lot to this.
Well, I had a bunch of magical preparations I was going to share with you, but okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can do that then.
I mean, it's not hard to find Mahogany.
So I'm going to go ahead and cast Mord's Private Sanctum with all options except for Extra Planar on Mahogany's shop.
So you fill up my place with smoke.
I'm going to put up... No, that's not Guards and Wards. Private Sanctum. It stops all the non-obvious things, and I'm going to go ahead and put a alarm that triggers at both entrances to the shop if it's not one of us.
Okay.
And let's see, who here do I think is the most valuable? Probably Mahogany. I'm going to put a non-detection on Mahogany and myself in those last 8 hours.
No, Mahogany is hard to find.
And I can ask you guys, listen, we're about to take on the hard hits. Do you guys want seeming up? Just to protect your identities?
I was going to use my own magic, but if you have something large like that, go for it.
Yeah. It covers all of us, so it lasts a long time. No concentration, so it seems...
No, yeah, I was just going to use a basic disguise self. It saves me the trouble.
Okay.
Do you do that, right?
Yeah. For
Oh,
everyone
man,
who wants it.
I'm really looking forward to when Mahogany turns into a wolf, and it's just a wolf with a guy shittily floating on top of him.
All right, so everybody has seeming. Mahogany and Nath have non-detection. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And what does the seeming look like? What are you making these people seem like?
Mostly humans. I figure it's the same disguise that we use on that prime when we went in.
Okay. Nath, it would be difficult but not impossible and possibly treason to get a hold of a planar man catcher without it being assigned to you.
Oh, I wasn't even considering doing that.
No.
No.
I mean, let's be real. Riot told him to.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if Riot's going to think I'm an anarchist, I'm going to work this for all I can, but...
Oh, that's right. I had forgotten about that. Yeah, right.
So, like, because I gotta know, does Nath just think the anarchists are just a bunch of clown shoes at this point?
A little.
Is he just like, these fucking idiots?
I have these back on the home plane, let me tell you.
The phrase clown shoes has been more prominent in my lexicon these past few weeks, I feel. It's everywhere I look, it's clown shoes.
I use that a lot because of this one time when we were playing Left 4 Dead, and a member of the party just started getting super mad and telling everyone that they were running around with their big fucking clown shoes on, with their big rubber noses, calling all the zombies.
I'm also going to...
as they ran down the street.
Sorry. I'm also going to go ahead and focus on my psychic discipline.
Okay. So, this is the Great Bazaar here.
Yep.
The morning of, where does everybody position themselves?
This seems like Copperman Way seems like the widest way that would admit the most soldiers.
Okay.
Actually, no. Yep, sorry. Riot's seeming is she's a human, but she's in harmonium armor.
Okay.
And she's headed up to report to the barracks.
So is she using this? Is she attempting to use the faction ability here to actually infiltrate the barracks? Okay.
Did you save that map that has all the shit that we drew on it?
Yeah, that's this one.
It's still here.
Yeah.
Nath is going to not wear his badge or faction colors at this point. He's just going to Do the in-depths have a color, right?
There's a symbol that some in-depths this past year have been using.
Okay. But not... Okay, then
But
he's just
obviously
going to
it's not
basically...
official.
Yeah, dress himself as a non-official in-depth. And he's going to be in one of these quiet alleys that he has an alarm in to start.
Go ahead and move your token to where you're starting
So
off
then,
here.
can you shrink the tokens? Because they're really big for this map.
Sure. Actually, you know what? Because I don't want to shrink them permanently, I'll just go ahead and we'll just make...
Okay.
Spawn a new copy.
Yep, that works.
Like a tiny boy for us.
So, Liberation, where in the Bazaar are you intending to start the day?
I'm probably going to be somewhere closer up Edgeward, I guess. Somewhere up in this area looks good.
Up here? Okay.
Yeah.
This is a possible approach for Harmonium, but less likely overall because they would have to march in smaller numbers. But it's like the main force is probably coming through a Riot pointed out, but they would
Where was
almost
that?
certainly have outlier
Copperman Way.
groups. So your goal is to take on like the secondary entrance into this part of the Bazaar?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought Copperman went through the hive.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm reading this wrong. Okay.
I'm looking at this now. What is this, like a fighting pit here? What the hell is this? Next
Yeah,
to
I don't
the-
know.
No, yeah.
It's like I don't know what that is.
No idea.
That's where we had that fighting pit, remember?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Bear baiting ring.
bear baiting ring.
Oh, there would absolutely be a bear baiting ring in Sigil, except it would probably be more like a fiend baiting ring. And it just has only the shittiest fiends.
Well, in like the second session, you guys had that bar fight in a bar that
We
had
did.
a bear baiting ring.
We did.
And where's Mahogany going to be?
I'm gonna be on the roofs over here.
So up on one of the permanent structures overlooking the
Yeah.
streets?
Mhm.
Okay. Right, when you arrive at the barracks, I mean, in the yard, they're forming up in large numbers and contingents. The various Harmonium leaders are, giving their morning pep talks, explaining how important it is for justice and order that the Bazaar be taken in hand, taken back from... And he uses all sort of faction slurs. He calls them anarchists at one point. Put an end to vigilante justice in the Bazaar. And the rank and file hardheads, just watching the reaction, it kind of runs the gamut from like
Bless you.
stricken with duty, like proud to serve, like this is a worthwhile cause. And then obviously you just see the guys who are just excited to be able to thump some heads.
Yeah.
So what's your plan for falling in? Are you just going to pick a group and march with them?
I'm going to pick the largest group I can and get in the center.
Okay. Notably, part of the speech that you're hearing, many of the men are being reassured because a lot of these guys were pulled in from tours in Arcadia and some even from the Prime. That this particular push in Sigil will be the most important action the Hardheads take here all year. And it seems that every group of Hardheads has what they're calling a spotter. Essentially looks like a hardhead wizard who is able to fly. That these will provide support from the air over your patrol to lessen the danger. That any resistance that you face in the streets will be in-depth rabble rousers. They won't have the strength and access to magic that the Harmonium do, and that it is of utmost importance that bodily harm and loss of life and damage to property be kept at an absolute minimum. So these wizards have prepared spells for containment rather than battle.
Okay. And I'll relay all that over the raries.
Oh, you have your telepathic bond up?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll tell Liberation and Mahogany and Nath, watch for the flyers. That's where they got the air support.
Okay.
Whenever we have spell effects up, I just put like a quick note in my scratch pad here. Telepathic bond is the shorthand is just T-bond. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, sounds like a Sigillian rapper.
Yeah. Everything Riot says over the T-bond is kind of a little bit of what's the word? What's it called?
Freestyle?
Auto-tuned.
Yes, auto-tuned.
Now I'm remembering that guy from Saints Row that's auto-tuned.
And as always, Strahd hears everything you say over the T-bond. Okay.
Gotta say over when you finish speaking on the T-bond over.
What if you just want to say over? Do you have to say over?
Yes.
That's confusing.
You have to say over.
We're coming over.
You guys watching over the Bazaar. Nath and Mahogany. Dabustan is... What day of the week is that? Okay. You see less activity in the Bazaar today than is usual. A lot of stalls haven't opened. Some of the shops have decided to close their doors. And then people have gone the opposite direction. Some of the shops are being very defiant about being open. Some of them have made a show of hiring bodyguards, mercenaries, or just dudes in armor with big swords to stand outside their doors and look menacing. There are a lot of in-depths out that are very obviously pretending to be browsing the wares, but are clearly wearing weapons. And what's your guys' passive perception, the two of you?
Mine's 17.
I believe mine's 15. Yes.
Okay. And both of you can see. Are you guys trying to be inconspicuous on these rooftops?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on a rooftop. I'm in a quiet alley. And
Oh,
yes.
you're in an alley, yes, okay. Let's get a hide check from both of you. Nath, you can make this check at advantage. All right, Nath,
12.
12? And Mahogany, what was your hide?
That was a nat 20.
What does that turn into?
Let me check that out real quick. Sorry, I wasn't expecting.
To roll
nat 20.
dice?
No, I roll dice constantly, Brick Road. Don't be stupid.
Do you do it even when you're not
23.
playing D&D? Like you're just in the shower and rolling dice?
Yeah, I mean I basically have really tiny dice that I use to abrade my skin. That's a 23, by the way.
Okay. Both of you are able to notice, scanning rooftops, a lot of people seem to have the same idea as you do. You see, not on every roof, but enough that every street and area of the bazaar seems to be covered. There's a lot of people up there that have bows or other kind of ranged weapons. Riot, are you doing anything disruptive as the Harmonium roll out?
No, I'm waiting for my chance.
Waiting for your chance. Okay. Liberation.
Hey.
Watching this secondary alleyway, go ahead and give me what's your... Are you trying to be inconspicuous, or do you not care?
I'm kind of... Yeah, I would say I'm like hiding in plain sight. Just a dude, cloak over him, smoking a pipe.
Okay, so you're just relying on the seeming?
Yeah.
What's your passive perception?
13.
13. So you don't see shit. Okay.
Yay! Seeing shit is overrated.
How many people would actually? That's what Riot was doing as we marched along, is
Mhm.
estimating how many people we've got.
Several hundred.
Okay.
It's a force, and I mean, you've been in Sigil your whole life, and you've dodged Harmonium patrols constantly. Harmonium patrol typically consists of 8 hardheads, usually. To see this many of them marching all at once is pretty much unprecedented. This is the kind of shit that, like, your anarchist cell always said would happen, but the typical Sigillian didn't believe it, kind of thing. So, this is a major, major operation. But from a hardhead perspective, you think it also kind of makes sense. The Bazaar has been almost on lockdown by the Indepts for most of this year, ever since Nylesia gave that proclamation. And it makes logistical sense for them, even as just a show of force, to prove to the people of Sigil that they're still in charge. But yeah, people are definitely going to get hurt and killed. Liberation.
Hey,
Dexterity saving throw.
dexterity saving throw. I'm pretty good at that. Except for now. That's
a 3.
that turns into an 11.
I thought you were a monk.
I have a +8 to that.
He's a monk with the worst dexterity score I've ever seen.
Liberation, you're suddenly drenched, soaked, head to toe, as just some sort of liquid just pours over your body.
Okay.
And I mean, it snuffs out your pipe, which right there,
That's uncalled for.
the tobacco is ruined. And darting upward, you see a scrawny man. He looks like a human, but his skin is almost bright red. It looks fiendish, almost, but he doesn't have any of the other fiendish traits. He doesn't have pointy ears or horns or fanged teeth or anything. He's wearing what looks just like street rags, the kind of thing like a typical hiver might wear. But over his shoulders, he has a very nice, well-mended, and very clean-looking brown cloak pulled up over his shoulders. And he is holding a barrel of something very sudsy that he has just dumped out over onto your head.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look up at him and see that he's done this, he snickers at you. And then just from the smell of it, you realize what he's dumped on you is probably beer. And you just stand there dumbfounded?
No, I'm shot up at him. Oi, you owe me 6 copper.
And he shouts back, for what?
Gesture to the pipe.
You gesture to your pipe?
Yeah. I just lit it.
He says if he was you, he'd be more worried about your clothes being wet.
Clothes can wash. This stuff's burned. It's gone for good. Now it's ruined.
He reaches back behind the bladed architecture on the roof, and with both hands he lifts up this very heavy sack and just throws it very bodily off of the roof, and it lands with a loud clatter in the road next to you. He says, nonetheless, I'd change if I were you. And then he disappears back behind the other side of the roof.
Look at the bundle. Look in it.
You untie it and open it up, and it is essentially a full set of Harmonium armor.
Is he already gone?
You look back up and you don't see him on the roof anymore. And I mean, you've seen pieces of Harmonium armor before. I mean, you've seen Hardhead patrols. Harmonium are in charge of their own armor. It's up to them to do upkeep on their own armor. And this is a very well tended to set, and it's complete. It's similar to the armor you've seen Nath wear. Mm-hmm. It's not plate. Obviously, he's not going to lug a pile of plate armor off a roof at you. That would probably kill you.
Duck into an alleyway with the bag, and then and throw on the armor.
Okay, you fit on the armor. For purposes of AC, it'll count as studded leather, which is I think that's what we gave Nath.
I think that means I lose my.
Oh, undoubtedly, yes. Your AC will go down if you put on this armor.
Yeah.
Does that show up under the seaming?
The seaming is still in effect. So, what do you mean? Does it show up under the seaming?
Well, does he change the armor, but he still looks the same because he has seaming up?
I feel like that would probably happen.
No, the spell disguises clothing, armor, weapons, and equipment as well. So,
Okay.
I guess that's it's going to be up to Liberation whether he wants the seaming to be his outward appearance or whether this armor is.
If I go with the armor, then I look like Liberation again.
You look like Liberation wearing Harmonium armor.
You look like you're human wearing it. This is something that I feel like we would have decided back when we were casting a spell. Like, do you want me to disguise your skin or your entire thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just my skin, hide the horns and tail and such.
Okay, let's go down the line for everybody then. Mahogany, what about you?
I look like an end-up.
Right, but do you want? So you want in-depth colors on your clothes? Okay. Nath. That's what you made it again.
Yeah, in-depth with no in-depth symbol, and also disguise my person, obviously. So total, complete disguise.
Complete disguise, okay.
So Liberation. You
Okay.
strap on this armor, you pull on the greaves, the boots, gloves, and there's no weaponry in this bag. But when you pull on the helmet, you immediately get a flash in your mind of who this armor belongs to.
Okay.
And again, this might be one of the best names I've ever gotten.
Fantasy name changer. You say that every time.
I know.
Say that every time.
It's such a good website. This website has never done me wrong. The armor belongs to a hardhead named Joss Wegman. And you intuitively gain knowledge. All right? It's good. You intuitively gain knowledge of two very important facts.
Okay.
Number one, Wegman is not a Sigillian hardhead. He is stationed on Arcadia. He's a man of some importance, and he was supposed to lead one of the Harmonium troops today. The second thing you're made aware of is that Wegman is currently tied up somewhere in Sigil, and anyone who sees you wearing his armor will believe you're him.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
Fantasy name generators. Yesterday I had to run a really impromptu session, and they needed a name for Lamia. Fantasy name generators gave me a Lamia name generator.
Yes. Yep. They have both a restaurant name generator, a tavern name generator, and a cafe name generator.
It's pretty good. Okay.
Go ahead and reduce your secret influence down to by 1, so it goes down to 15.
15. That would mean that the bonus goes down to plus 2, right?
Yep.
All right. So.
Does this alter Liberation's plans any, or are you going to continue smoking your pipe?
Oh no, I'm going to. I'm going to see about joining up with. I'm going to see about joining up with the Harmonium patrol. One of the Harmonium patrols that's in the group.
Okay.
That's going to be that's mustering up at the whatchamacallit?
Barracks.
Barracks, yeah.
Yeah, are we on the march yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Riot.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping your ears open at the barracks, you do eventually hear some grumbling around that apparently some Arcadian high-up was late to report for duty. A lot of these just low-level foot soldiers grumbling like, how come he can get away with it and I can't? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
RHIP.